Welcome to Knights of the Apocalypse, a Roguetech Let's Play. We have the convoy on the field now, so it's just worth examining quickly what you've actually got in the convoy. You can see we've got a goblin, which is great because they're really heavily armoured. We've got a second goblin, LRMs and SRMs, so they'll be kind of useful. We've got a Sleipnir, if I'm saying that right. Two of those, one with SRMs and the other one with LRMs. So not a bad balance. Probably the APCs have got the weakest armour, but they're actually pretty sturdy, so we've been fortunate. Carriers tend to have a lot more firepower, but they are very weak and tend to get blown up quite easily. So what we'll do now is, for our faster mechs, we'll zigzag them back and forth across the field towards the extraction point, and our slower mechs will just move as fast as we can with the convoy to make sure we keep up. And when we get some enemy action, we will have a look then.
Hold this position, Commander. The package will be on its way soon.
Here we have our enemy assault team that's dropped in. We're pretty well progressed with the convoy, so the goblins will take the longest, so I'd say we've got 3 rounds to hold out at least before we safely have the convoy away. We have a look at the enemy mechs. We have a Blackjack Omni mech, a Bulldog, which is quite heavily armoured, or reasonably heavily armoured, and a Vulcan, which has got reasonable firepower but is quite squishy. What we really want to make sure we do though is get rid of this Ripper, because it will have some infernos which are pretty deadly to vehicles. So I've been moving my mechs at maximum speed, so they've got quite a lot of evasion. So it is tempting to let them at least come forward a little bit because they've got 6 evasion at the moment. That said, the Ripper, it's already had its turn, so there's no point moving my mechs too much and trying to fire at these high evasion targets at the back. So we'll reserve away and let everyone else go, and then I think we'll pour the firepower into the Ripper to get rid of it, and then it'll be the best target of opportunity after that to pick off next. We'll keep using this high ground and moving laterally. If someone gets damaged, I'll try and put them into the mineral field over here, which gives them some defensive bonuses, and hopefully stave off the enemy that way. The Blackjack moved forward and took some shots at the convoy. The 2 goblins moved towards the evac zone and took out the Ripper with some good long-range missile fire.
Got it.
Apocalypse found a gap through the middle and raced through, hitting the Blackjack from behind.
Roger that.
Ditch and Zoom put some fire down on the Blackjack from the ridge. Meanwhile, Slide Rule dashed through the gap as well, following Apocalypse to take some shots into the Blackjack's ridge. Ripley decided to move into the low ground and also focused on the Blackjack. Venom continued to harass from behind.
Got it.
The enemy Vulcan moved forward and took some shots at the Spectre. Supporting fire from the convoy, with the Blackjack also keeping it unsteady. Under pressure, Blackjack accidentally hit its own bulldog. This allowed Ditch to move into position and take his own shots. The bulldog moved forward and took his own opportunity.
Engaging target.
Meanwhile, fire continued from the ridgeline. Slide Rule tried but failed to finish off the Blackjack.
Here it goes.
A couple of rounds into the engagement, we almost have all of our convoy safely into the escort zone. We did manage to get around behind the Blackjack by cutting through the middle with both Apocalypse in the Venom and Slide Rule in the Harasser, so we've really turned them around and done a lot of damage to the rear of the Blackjack. It's unbelievable that it's still alive, but we seem to have just managed to strip away the armour quite evenly. The Vulcan kind of doesn't know what to do, and we're starting to take pot shots at the Bulldog, which is panicked, so we want to keep him panicked because he is a bit of a threat with the large laser and the SRMs. So from here, I think we'll continue to just use the Crab from medium range. Zoom is doing a great job at missing most things. The Spectre's probably the most at risk, but we will continue to use him. Might bring him round to the right here so we keep him away from getting in the crossfire. And then see if we can't take out the Blackjack, followed by the Bulldog, and then we'll deal with the Vulcan at the end. Apocalypse finished off the Blackjack with some shots from behind.
Let her rip. I hope we can salvage that.
I copy.
Ditch joined Ripley in the low ground and focused fire on the Bulldog.
Firing.
Supporting fire harassed the Vulcan.
Here we go. Locking in all weapon systems.
The Bulldog did manage to do some serious damage though to Ditch's Vulcan.
Armor blow through.
The objective is secured, Commander.
The convoy has now made its escape, so we've either got the option to finish off the Bulldog, which in theory shouldn't be too hard, but seems to be standing up quite well, and the Vulcan sitting in that mineral field will be a bit painful, but what we'll do is we'll start scooching across here towards the evac zone. The Crab will take a few turns to do that anyway, and in the meantime we'll see if we can take both these out and end it early.
Got it, Commander.
Lance focused all its fire on the Bulldog.
Let's see how this might be. 10-4.
All weapons are go.
Ripley scored the kill. The enemy Vulcan used the mineral field and took evasive action to good effect.
Take this! Engaging target.
Firing.
With the Knights closing in from all sides, it was only a matter of time.
This is everything I got.
Target neutral.
Mission successful.
So what an excellent haul, completing the ensure all convoy units survive gives us 25% extra, plus destroying both lancers gave us another 100,000 on top of that, so you'll see a very healthy 1.5 million C-bills. So very good. And if we look at how we stacked up in terms of damage, the MVP for this this mission for me was Ripley, even though he didn't necessarily take out a lot of enemy units. Definitely some really good shots at the start. Zoom probably needs a bit more time in the simulator, missing a lot of pretty easy shots. But overall very good. And the Harasser managed to get a kill without getting destroyed, which is a small miracle in itself. So some really good XP too for the 1.5 skull mission. Just looking at salvage here, we've got the opportunity to get a piece of Bulldog. Now, Bulldog's pretty heavily armoured, and that would be quite handy to end up collecting enough of that. I'll just have a look through everything else and then explain what I've taken for salvage. So what I've decided on in the end is the piece of Bulldog, so that we can get a relatively heavy tank onto the field, or vehicle onto the field. And I took the 240 engine core just because when we gives us another engine option when we reconstitute our first mech. I could have taken the anti-missile system, but it is a vanilla one, so not worth a lot really, and very much a junk haul, so that's all we've taken. We ended up getting a piece of fire starter and a piece of locust, but I'll immediately sell the armor because we definitely don't need that. I'll sell the ice engine because we definitely don't need that. Keep these ammo components and the rocket packs just in case we need them. From a repair point of view, 9 days spread amongst different mechs won't take too long, and it'll give us a chance to upgrade next time, so only 16,000 C-bills. That brings us to the end of another episode. Next time I think the Knights of the Apocalypse will leave Epsilon Arati and go and search for some different contracts. That brings us to the end of another episode of The Knights of the Apocalypse, a Roguetech Let's Play. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. One of the comments in an earlier video asked what was the setup for Roguetech that I was playing. So to give you an idea, I'm using the new offline map. I'm doing a difficulty by planet rating. I don't have enemy support lancers, mostly for brevity. It's not that you can't do it or succeed with support lancers, it's just that with lots of support lancers it really draws out the mission. I've disabled the random combat starting positions just because ultimately what ends up happening is you can have problems with sort of quite janky deployment. So you can get some sort of weird things happening when you're manually deploying. I've got manual deployment on. I've just got AI convoys. I find sometimes manual convoys do get stuck. I'm using a standard map size. This is really, again, for brevity so that we don't end up having really extended long games to show, and it doesn't really change the outcome so much. I've enabled allies. I've got the combat log on. I've randomly generated starting pilot rather than having random Ronin. I haven't got concrete jungles turned on. Look, you can do it, but it just means you're going to spend a lot of time blasting buildings as you move forward to make sure you're not going to get ambushed. I've got all the DLC, Flashpoint, Urban Warfare, and Heavy Metal selected. I'm just using pre-3062 mechs. Just simplifies the game a little bit and allows you to have, I guess, just earlier mech units, sort of your traditional Battletech units. I then haven't got proto mechs or any of these pirate tech or elite mechs or any experimental weapons. Again, just to simplify the story. Normally when I play on my other games, it's I'd like to have these on, but for the purposes of Knights of the Apocalypse, we have this turned off. I've got the additional flashpoints and stories enabled, so we may get into them at some stage. I've got the additional hireable Ronin enabled as well. The full set of emblems, so that I could pick one that was appropriate. And then we've got all the portraits. Civilians have been evacuated from the cities. I've got the updated fire effects just to make it a bit kinder on the graphics processing. Fog of War stays revealed, so I use the full lance-based view rather than the unit-based. This is really because just for the playability of the game and so that you can see where the other units are. I've got the night vision overlay enabled. I've got no speed increase just so that we can see the action a bit easier. Some of the quality of life things, I've just got some skip intro stuff on, so I don't have to sit through that. The FX options, I've got the Battletech sound replacements. I've put on crystal clear just so that we get as smooth a video as possible, and I quite like having the scorched earth on so you can kind of see the marks. I've got the coloured panic system enabled. Got the photography style mech icons enabled. I've got repair armor after battle, so there's no free armor repair for this. And that is about it. I've got the multi-thread rendering enabled. So there you go. That's the setup for Roguetech Knights of the Apocalypse.